Hello and welcome. My name is Nilaus. This is another episode in our tutorial series of Base in a Book, where I am crafting some hopefully well-designed blueprints that will help you build your base from scratch to the end game. And speaking of end game, we've reached the point where we need the final point of the science, borrowing of course the infinite science, but the yellow science. The yellow science, let's have a look at the engine first. This here. Now, this is another tricky point here. This takes 14 seconds, but it is very complicated to make. You can see here that it requires one battery, which is the kind of the odd one out, because that's not really needed for, that's not really very difficult. But 3 processing units, that's a pain to get that. 1 speed module and 30 copper cables. The very interesting thing about this is you can craft 1 speed module in 15 seconds, but this one takes 14 seconds. You can craft with 1 assembler, you can craft 30 copper cables in 15 seconds. No, 60 in 15 seconds. So if this was 15 seconds, it would fit perfectly with speed module construction and copper cable construction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that it's 14 and it's 15, and then simply design it after the 15, because that can generate some really cool design. Let's have a look at the actual structure of the design, and then I'll walk through it, because it's rather complicated, and honestly it took a bit to design it. It's also very compressed. So the part that is really important is that it needs this one at the one end, and it also needs it at the other end, but we'll get to that. Now let's start from scratch. Here we have this one. This is taking it. So on this belt we have the blue circuits and the batteries. Those are crafted other places, and I've gone through how to create them. Actually not batteries, they're quite a simple process. Right here we have a full red belt of copper to go into the copper cables. This one will generate it creates 2 cables per half a second, so 4 cables per second. That means in 15 seconds it'll generate 60. That's 30 for this one, 30 for this one. So that fits pretty good. On the other hand, here we have the speed module also taking 15 seconds to craft, and that just takes an equal supply of red and green circuits also created other places. So they'll come in, become crafted here. The way that this is done, you can see how this one shifts here, and that allows these 2 to pick it up here before moving on. That also means that these 2 are kind of reversed, because it goes in here and then it goes back out. So this is almost repeating 2 times, but you can see here this comes from outside to the inside to the outside, and then it can be copied again. This setup here will now run on a 15 normalized cycle, because that will be slowed down slightly amount while waiting for this one, and waiting for speed modules, and waiting for the copper cables. This one operates on a 15-second cycle. However, these crafting machines I'm choosing is working on 1.25, so that's slightly faster. That means instead of a 15-second cycle, it's actually running on a 12-second cycle. So for every 12 seconds, these ones complete 1 yellow science, or 1 cycle that generates 2 yellow science. That means I need 12 of these in order to get 2 yellow science per second. That was a lot of numbers thrown at you, but I hope you get it. Basically just recapping, just to make absolutely sure that this is running on a default 14-second cycle. However, because of the crafting of speed modules and copper cables, it is very convenient to treat it as a 15-second cycle. So that's what I'm going to do. 15-second cycle produced in a machine at 1.25 crafting speed is becoming a 12-second cycle. The 12-second cycle means that if I have 12 engines, there's 1 cycle per second, and 1 cycle generates 2 science packs. So I need this repeated here and here, and that generates what I want. Now sort of the last point that needs explanation, and why there's a blue belt in the middle even though there's a red belt in between. That is simply the fact that you can see from here, this reaching here is due to the new blue underground belts that can reach 8, and therefore this is quite beneficial to do that. And I will, well, that's actually not necessary. This is the output belt, so that's the one we can take out. I will just for Take of argument, make 1. You can see here, let's actually just follow the inserters and exerters. I keep calling them exerters, but that's not the word. So copper comes in, and actually let's start it up, and then it'll be much easier to see. Right, so copper goes in here. It gets picked up from here, takes a lot. Craft. These are going in here. You can see these alternate. Actually, they don't need to be it's not that fast. And over here, these are also crafting. Let's walk all the way up. It's now reaching the end. This will be supported by a red belt, but it will still be mindful that a red belt still is red belt of red circuit is something. I mean, that's 13. Have half of a red belt. Is still 13 items per second. So you're still gonna need some to do this. And here, you see this one is not doing anything until that one, because it's already taken 15 seconds, but as no, it's producing for the next. You'll see this one as it completes. You'll see everything else is produced fast enough, done, and the waiting time. That's 1 second out of the 15-second cycle that it waits. Copper goes in, copper cable goes out. These two machines are picking from the center belt. They're outputting here, there, and up there on the output belt, and this belt snaking back and forth is for the modules, and they're being inserted here. So there you have it. That's, in my opinion, a really clean way of making it. You could also just double it up and make it symmetrical and just having 2 copper belts next to each other. But that would mean 2 branches off the main bus. It would mean more storage on the belt. I think this is by far the most beneficial way. And that generates 2 per second. So that's basically the last level of science that we are needing in our trek towards the rocket. So I think we're going to leave it with that. Thank you very much for joining. If you like this design, you can find the blueprint. They are always uploaded to Factorio prints. If you like the video, the tutorial, then be sure to like and comment below. And also, if you want more content such as this, you're welcome to subscribe. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you next time.